Welcome to Security Speakeasy, where we talk all things network security. In today's session, we're going to talk about how and why healthcare and retail industries use container firewalls to stay secure. My name is Greg Smith, Senior Product Marketing Manager, Palo Alto Networks, and today I'm joined by Shinton Udeshi, Product Manager for CN Series, the containerized firewall from Palo Alto Networks. Welcome, Shinton.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. Even though there are Kubernetes network policies, why do we even need network security?
Sure. So containers are just another way to deploy applications, regardless of whether applications are running on bare metal, virtual machines, or containers. They run on the same network stack and protocols. That means containerized apps face the same threats that traditionally impacted legacy applications running on bare metal and virtual machines. And that's why we like to call it as same threats, new form factor. Even though network security teams are patching known vulnerabilities all the time, CVEs can take months or even years to detect and then patched. While shift-left security products can protect against known vulnerabilities, teams often need security that is always on. And that's where network security comes into picture. Network security provides protection against both known and unknown vulnerabilities, and it is always on. So you are protected all the time.
Great. So I tease you often. I don't know if anybody meets more customers around me anyway than you. So based on conversations with healthcare and retail customers, when they're not using containerized firewalls, how are they actually managing network security for containerized applications today?
That's a great question, Greg. So many times, instead of you deploying multiple applications on the same cluster, they have a single application running on each of the cluster. As a result, they are not effectively utilizing the resources that are available. Secondly, many times customers have different clusters for different applications. One cluster could be specific for the PCI compliance. One could be specific, cluster could be specific for the HIPAA compliance, and other cluster might be running all the other applications. Network security teams don't have the right tools to secure containerized application. And as a result, they end up relying on DevOps team. And this is the beginning of the fragmentation, because network security team is using certain policies, whereas DevOps team is using some other policies. That is what makes the network more vulnerable to the attacks.
Great. So it sounds like ultimately what you're highlighting is a fundamental lack of visibility and control. So why is the absence of granular visibility and control at the application level a problem?
Sure. Right now, as you can see, if firewall is sitting outside the Kubernetes cluster, if there are multiple applications running on the same Kubernetes cluster, when the traffic leaves the cluster, the traffic is natted. As a result, the firewalls that are sitting outside the Kubernetes cluster don't have the visibility into the cluster at an application level or a namespace level. If you don't have the visibility, it is impossible to enforce the policy at an application level. And that's why you need a firewall that is containerized and that has the visibility inside the Kubernetes cluster.
Perfect. So we often hear from healthcare and retail customers that compliance is top of mind, and this is across the globe. So how can customers who are moving to containerization ensure that they're adhering to their compliance standards?
Since containerized firewall is sitting inside the Kubernetes cluster, it provides the visibility inside the cluster at an application level and a namespace level. With containerized firewall inside the cluster, customers are able to ensure that threats are not moving laterally between two applications running on the same Kubernetes cluster. At the same time, customers can prevent data exfiltration and protect against inbound attacks by enforcing policy at an application level. And by doing so, they are able to comply with regulatory compliance like PCI, HIPAA, and others.
Great, great. So all this sounds really awesome, but I can hear maybe a naysayer saying, hey, this sounds like it's going to slow down the business. And when we expand and contract with the, retail cycles, for example, Q4 is big time. How is this going to help us or hinder us? It ultimately sounds like more is in the way. Is that true?
It's exactly opposite. In fact, many of the customers who were traditionally using hardware firewall are now moving to containerized firewall. Scaling up and scaling down hardware firewall is not always easy because you have to plan ahead. With containerized form factor of the firewall, customers are able to take advantage of auto scaling capability of Kubernetes. And as a result, they are able to scale up and scale down easily. And by doing so, they are able to significantly reduce the cost and ultimately optimize the total cost of ownership.
Awesome. So with that, we're out of time for today. Thank you, Shinton, for joining.
Thanks, Greg. My pleasure.
To summarize, container firewalls like CN series allow customers to gain east-west, outbound, and inbound protection so that they can extend zero trust security to containerized applications, comply with regulatory compliances like HIPAA and PCI, while reducing the total cost of ownership. If you enjoyed this session and want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more content and updates.